Right into it, it's going to be Deja Vu bringing two 15Bs, a 113, two 50Bs, a T57 Heaven, a T57 Heavy, and the RU251. Meanwhile, Rival is going to be bringing three 215Bs, a T57 Heavy, a 50B, a Batchat, and a 251.
Yep, and already Pub Whisper getting very aggressive with the scouting run. Meanwhile, Wally Whiff is actually trying to get up onto the boost.
And already a nice shot from Harmless in that 50B right onto the back of Pub Whisper. Yet another shot tagging him. And that's very, very unfortunate as he needs to be careful now trying to scout. Not a lot of HP left, so already Deja Vu starting with some pretty good pressure.
Yep, so Wally Whiff already up in the A1 boost, looking down across the field, trying to cover Milo Putin in front of him as well as Harmless. So a pretty standard defense out of Deja Vu. We've seen this a lot out of him so far this season. Nationwide just playing down at H1, trying to see if he spots any of these tanks. And little does he know, Executus is actually all the way up on top of that hill as he not so gracefully drives down to get out of there. And it looks like he is going to head towards the north along with that RU251 and get some intel over there. Meanwhile, 215B's just starting to creep up along the H-line. So for those just tuning in for the first time, but have played World of Tanks, essentially the yellow, when their name lights up yellow, that means they are spotted. We get to see everything. The players see the normal view that you would see when you're playing a pub match where you only see the tanks that have been spotted.
Oh, shots again coming onto Executus this time. He's just going to take a little HP. I'm trying to see where that actually came from.
Nationwide just creeping around looking for some shots there in the distance. However, Coffee Thief and another one just holding right up against that building, making sure they stay safe. Some more blind shots going out from Nationwide. Not necessarily blind, but just very tight shots. He actually has not been spotted
Harmless
back there.
tagging unknown one there. So right now, Deja Vu is literally just picking apart the team of Rival.
Nationwide actually snapping a shot off onto Executus. So far, Rival just bleeding a lot of HP, trying to hold firm this out.
This is not a very good situation at all. Executus taking a little more HP loss as well as I say that. And already the lead is, as far as the HP pool, is definitely in favor of Deja Vu. As finally now Nationwide is taking a little bit of damage trying to cross back over. All the way down that one line. Yeah, this is... so far, this is not going the way Rival, I'm sure, would have expected to lose that much HP, although they are making somewhat of a move towards the west now, setting up for potential cap pressure. But see, here we have also changed in social flaws, James, who are setting up to crossfire. This is not a very good situation at all, as Flak is now taking some damage. They're just getting picked apart.
Yeah, Deja Vu just playing all the smart little angles and just chipping away at the HP. They're making it really hard for Rival to move to take the positions they want. Now, the one thing I will note is Deja Vu very smartly that they got aggressive, they got some early damage, and then they didn't overstay their welcome. They went ahead and backed out. They knew that Rival were coming for this bottom left corner, and so they gave it up, and they're moving to a secondary position, and they're nice and tight right now. The Batchat Nationwide just chilling out here in the back at C1. He can just look over this high ground. He'll know if Executus or anyone's coming down on the outside. And the rest of the guns are just sitting across the C line right now, just holding firm, waiting for their team to push in.
Pot shots here over on Rival. Milo Putin taking some HP loss as well on the damage there. But again, this is... you also have to realize time. I mean, Rivals, essentially, if they don't make some sort of play, they're going to be forced, as we've seen many teams so far this season, James, they're going to be forced to make a play with very little time left, which has never worked.
I wouldn't say it's never worked, but it's definitely less likely to work. And they're just trying to get into position. You can tell what they want to do, but they're just taking so much damage that they just keep having to slow it down and make sure that the tanks leave, that they can get in there safely. And they are starting to chip away a little bit at Deja Vu. They've pulled it back into within 2,000. For a little while there was almost pushing 4,000. So just slowly chipping away, and it looks like they're trying to set up to get some cap pressure on this 2-cap. Pub Whisper just chilling out in the backfield there, keeping an eye on the flank. But Deja Vu don't really have to do anything at this point.
No.
Their guns are all together.
They really don't.
And it's up to Rival to make a move.
Well, this is also something I wonder... James, I wonder if we're gonna see a more aggressive rival, knowing at the spot that they're in and the tough situation that they have to deal with, or if we're gonna see something like this where they're much more passive.
Yeah, Social Flaws just backing out, trying to find any sort of shot towards E63 and Flak. Meanwhile, Change just looking to hold the opposite angle, so they have their angles covered pretty well, and it's actually a known one that's pushed all the way down this 3-line, tucked in right here, and I'm pretty sure it's the bat shot out of Nationwide that will spot him if he hasn't been spotted already.
Yeah, there's poor little Pub Whisper. I mean, he got tagged very early, so he's had to be very cautious of how he plays this little Tier 8 light. I can feel the tension, though.
Change.
Something is going to happen, James.
Change and an unknown one just kind of squaring off.
All right, and they are going to start cap pressure. Rival is going to be starting it with about 4 minutes left on the clock. And it is going to be Pub Whisper who sits on that cap. Honestly, he's probably the best choice at this point. Coffee Thief trying to set up a crossfire. Gets tagged. Nice shot from Social Flaws.
So Pub Whisper just has the little crane in the middle of that 2-cap to keep him safe.
That's all he's got.
Nationwide taking some damage out in the backfield.
Flak very close to going down as he takes shots in that 50B. He's going to back up. Nationwide and Wallywhiff are the ones looking at him. My Little Putin, meanwhile, just took a huge amount of damage.
Executus, Malaputin trading.
There he goes. Social Flaws is going to take out Pub Whisper, but Executus is also going to take out My Little Putin for the trade, so.
And all of a sudden, Deja Vu not looking so untouchable. Rival are just able to kind of chip away at him.
Executus with not much HP left, trying to get the pick there. Harmless is moving in that 50B, taking quite a bit of damage himself. This is getting down to crunch time. There's only 2 minutes and 35 seconds left. Harmless is going to do a little jump, and he's going to take a shot. Wallywhiff is going to take out a known one. Harmless trades for Flak and Change for Executus. Deja Vu just cleaned it up very nicely, but E63 takes out Harmless in the 50B. Now Change taking shots on Coffee Thief. Social Flaws behind with 1 hit left before he's taken out of the battle, or excuse me, 1 shot, but he's still going to do as much damage as possible. In fact, he is going to live. He's living.
Coffee Thief.
And Change. Beautiful. Social Flaws getting another pick himself on E63. And this is going to Deja Vu. Honestly, in my opinion, that was 110% the way they set up those crossfires. They confused Rival, and they were really able to finish it off.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. That was very impressive. Almost, I would necessarily say bait, but the way that they were set up, they forced Rival to play a little slower, especially because of all the shots that were being traded, or not even traded, being put onto Rival. And then once they got into the position where they wanted to cap on the 2-point, there was just so many crossfires.
Well, and this is what I was talking about. It's the same thing before, where teams focus on holding one cap and then going back to defend the other. And in this case, Deja Vu set up to just defend that middle cap, and they had all those little lanes coming, approaching them. They had them all covered.
Correct.
So if Rival wanted to push up, they were going to take damage. That's exactly what they did. To move up to each different section, to start moving towards the north, they just sat there and kept chipping away at them. And, they almost had like a 4,000 HP lead at one point, which is really hard to turn around.
And I mean, Deja Vu was set up pretty heavily around that 1 cap as well. So, I mean, they had pretty decent defense had Rival decided to go to the 1 cap. But as you said, they were definitely looking for that crossfire in the middle of the map.
Yep, definitely. And so, like I said, every inch that they wanted to take, they had to pay for, essentially, is what it is. And what I do like about, like I said, about Deja Vu is they understood, all right, we're going to stay here and get some early damage, but then we know when it's time to go, and they reset into a second position.
Yep, and Commander J coming in at the #1 spot in the T57 Heavy, doing 4,000 damage. Very nice. Social Flaws, as well as 2 other members of Deja Vu coming in towards the top with Flak in between. Social Flaws doing 2,800, Flak with 25, and then Harmless and Change very consistent, 24 and 24 apiece. Moving on to Coffee Thief, doing just about 2,300 himself. And then unfortunately for Team Rival, it falls off quite drastically as Executus, Unknown One, E63, and Pub Whisper run at the bottom. Obviously, Pub being in the Tier 8 line.
Well, he got caught out early on, and then he was, trying to put the cap pressure on, and he got picked off. pretty early. Now, Commander J, though, putting up 4,000 damage. Pretty good return there.
Yeah.
Just able to kind of chip away. He caught out a couple of the tanks on the one line. I think it was Nationwide out there, and Milo Putin he helped put down. So, they started clawing back into it.
It was because of him that they were clawing back into it, because he was finding those shots.
Yeah, but they, just not enough. They couldn't really pin Deja Vu back anywhere. They were constantly, they kept Rival having to second guess and figure, can we move up to this next spot safely, and then they take damage when they did.
Is, like you said earlier when we started off the show, is they have been having difficulty going to that plan B, which is pretty much what Deja Vu forced them to try to do.
Yeah, well, it looked like Rival had an idea. They kind of understood what they wanted to do, and then they started taking a lot of damage while they did it, and they just kept moving forward, and they kept taking more and more damage.
Which is, again, what you criticized them for earlier.
So I guess you could call it being just a little bit too one-dimensional, essentially. Just having that one idea and sticking to it, even if it's not working. Yeah, and that's something that I really like to see out of them on Tuesday, is it was clear, like, all right.
It was almost a completely different team. It was very refreshing and nice to watch. I really liked that Rival that I saw, and I'm hoping that that first game was just them shaking it off and getting right back into it. And they are on defense now, so we'll see how it plays out.
So going over the lineups, Deja Vu bringing a 113, an IS-7, 250Bs, a Batchat, a T10, and a Tier 9 Batchat. Meanwhile, Rival coming in with an E100, a 215B, an IS-7, 250Bs, an Object 140, and an RU-251. Once again, Pub Whisper playing the little RU-251. Deja Vu, though, switching to the 2 Tier 9 lineup, bringing that T10 and Batchat AP. The Batchat AP gives them a little bit more flexibility on top of the Tier 10 Batchat they already have. And the 50Bs are always, a pretty mobile tank. Meanwhile, Harmless is going to start creeping in towards the cap. Pub Whisper trying to figure out where the rest of the guns are. Executus is just going to hang out up here trying to find some shots towards Nationwide, and hopefully Harmless when he's on cap. However, I don't think he will have an angle that he can consistently pen on Harmless.
He does have a good angle there, but he is going to have an angle towards the center of the map, which is good as far as crossfires go and punishing any push, but they are going to have to deal with that IS-7 eventually. And Executus not in the best position to punish that.
No, not at all. He might be able to get some HE resets maybe onto the side of the turret. If he was extremely lucky, he might get a pen on the side of the turret, but being so sloped, even if it's not that thick on the side there.
With that freaking IS-7, man. When that tank is hold down, oh my god, it's hard to get it out.
Yeah, and the only thing that, the only saving grace is that Harmless isn't actually looking towards Executus. He's giving him the side of his turret. Now, the thing is, it is sloped and
oh, interesting.
A pretty good shot, pretty good chance to bounce. However, they do get the reset, and now the move is going to come out of Rival.
Here comes Unknown One, Coffee Deep, E63, and Commander J for Team Rival. They're going to go right over the corner and try to take out My Little Putin. Very good focus fire. This is exactly what I want to see out of this team. Commander J taking quite a bit of damage, but he's going to trade out as they're now chasing down Change. This is very aggressive from Rival. This is what I like to see, but they have to be careful because here comes Deja Vu on the flank. They're showing social flaws. Should be able to take out Coffee Thief and E63 if they play this correctly. Meanwhile, Unknown One in the I-7 still at full HP.
Yep, and they will push around the corner. Unknown One trying to simp for E63. Meanwhile, Executus and Commander J taking the 2-on-1 on the Harmless on cap.
Absolutely, and this is looking very good. Unfortunately, for Deja Vu, as I said that, there were so many trades being gone in Rival's favor, but how did that just happen?
It was just that second push that
Deja Vu just cleaned up a situation in which I thought they were for sure going to lose more tanks.
Has a lot to do with the autoloaders that they brought. Wally Whiff coming in there and getting this clip off into that E100, and then the T10 and the other batch out of My Little Putin came up from behind for Deja Vu, and they left that push from Rival kind of completely pincered in the middle there.
Right, Nationwide is reloading, though, as he's trying to run away from Executus in the 140. Meanwhile, Social Fly is going to take out Unknown One in the 113, and now it's Pub Whisper and Executus versus Change in a 50B with almost full HP. Social Flaws, who may go down here in a second, and then Nationwide, who's still reloading in that Batchat. Still very doable for Rival.
And all of a sudden, Rival are still in this. However, Change has a full clip, and he's trying to chase down Executus. Nationwide is down to a one-shotter. He's also looking for shots onto Executus.
Oh, and there it is. Change going to clean it up. Still 3 shots left here on Nationwide, though. Down he goes to Pub Whisper. It's now a one-on-one, but let's be real here. it would take a Christmas miracle for Pub Whisper to win this.
Now it depends. Does he know that Change is out? Can he chip away? I don't think he knows. However, he does know that he is on defense, and that it's up to Change to either kill him or cap, and he's going to choose to back out and run away.
The problem, though, is there's still 5 minutes to play with. For Change.
Yeah, Change whiffed those shots, though. He put a couple into the dirt, and I think one hit the tracks for a critical hit onto Pub Whisper, so Pub should be dead. However, he is alive. He is going to get all the way out to the 1 line, and now it's up to Change to make the play. Change just moving towards that 2 cap. He's trying to get into a position where he can make Pub Whisper come back to him and have to get a reset and hopefully pick him off while he does that.
So here's the thing, though. If Pub Whisper waits to about the last 20 seconds, gets a reset shot off, and then immediately goes back to hide, he could technically prolong this enough to where he would win on defense. Because he obviously can't take the shell.
No, not at all. He has 67 HP. Even a bump would kill him. Or even hitting a little hill or rock wrong, he could take that sort of damage. However, Chains doesn't know where he is. That's the only saving grace that he has, being in this little light tank, is he's able to just rotate around, and Change isn't even looking for him coming from this direction yet.
If Pub Whisper does do this, though, he would be a legend.
It would take a great play for him to get out of here. Change is sitting on cap, and Pub Whisper knowing that he doesn't need to go too soon.
No, in fact, like I said, he should wait until about 20-30 seconds and then try to get the reset and then just get the hell out of there again.
Yep, he just needs to try to buy time. If he gets the reset, it's in around 50 seconds. There's still going to be enough time for Change to cap. So realistically, he needs to get 1 reset, bail out, and then he's going to need 1 more reset if Change stays on cap.
Oh, and right now, Change is not looking in his direction. Obviously, he does not know that this would be the perfect time. Pub Whisper going in. He's going to take the shot. Oh, no. Oh, and there it is. Change trades.
Snaps off the shot.
Very unfortunate for Pub Whisper there. I respect the effort, but again, for me, Rival looked in really good form. They took the overmatch when they did the first initial push. They took out a tank, and it looked really good for them, but all of a sudden, all of that HP advantage and the tank advantage that was in Rival's favor just vanished.
Yeah, well, they made that first initial push once they understood they had that overmatch. They kind of engineered it for themselves. They understood the I-7 was over on cap, and so they tried to push in and take out those 50Bs, and they dropped that first 50B. I believe it was Milo Putin pretty much instantly as soon as they all got around that corner.
The focus fire
was perfect. However, then after that, the tanks came in from behind for Deja Vu. They were kind of split up all the way down that 3 line. They came in, cut across that cap, and just completely pincered out Rival, where they had guns on both sides of them. And with the IS-7 still on cap, he had clean shots into that same little courtyard from the other side. So that's why Executus had to push in, because he needed to make sure that gun wasn't shooting his teammates in the back. And so just a good response out of Deja Vu, that they made sure that the push from Rival was punished, and they kept trading out.
It's tough seeing Rival go through this.
Yeah, I mean, it is. They need some point. They need 1 point is all they need to guarantee their safety. If they don't get any points, all it takes is get flanked, getting a win versus high to send them home.
Right. And the thing is there's also no reason for Deja Vu to kind of let off, regardless of whether they like the team or not, because they're also fighting for positioning in the next round robin.
One more disclaimer: it's not just get flanked. Winning 07 would also have to get some points, but still, they want to control their own destiny, and so far they aren't doing that.
And Executus putting up the most damage in that 140, doing 3,500, and then it's nationwide, social, and change from Deja Vu, putting in 34, 29, and 2,800 damage respectively. Pub Whisper in that 251 did quite a bit of work, though, I will have to say, doing 2,200 in the Tier 8 light tank. Then on the second page, we have Unknown One, Wally Whiff, and the Commander J. It pretty much just cycles between Rival and Deja Vu, as many of the tanks did fall early. My Little Putin, we did allude to, got erased within the first engagement.
Didn't even get his first clip off. And I do like the play from Pub Whisper there at the end. He did a good job repositioning, trying to come from an angle where the 50B couldn't predict it. The problem is that because he had to back around to make sure he could get out of there, he exposed the back end of his engine deck, and it was just not too high up to where he couldn't get safe when they had to drive away.
Well, that's going to lead us into our next map between Deja Vu and Rival Simple Tankers.
Prokhorovka, one of the first maps in the game. Teams start at the regular spawn points as they do in standard battles. Bases are separated from each other by the railway, so the defending team has to choose whether to send their vehicles to the left side, playing them in the centre, or to the right of the railway, occupying the hill and a part of the village. The attacking team usually attacks the first base. However, teams often go for face-to-face confrontation, 7-on-7, in the hilly terrain at the centre. That's why both teams frequently use vehicles with good gun depression angles and sturdy turrets.
Battle number 3 as Deja Vu leads 2-0. And Deja Vu is going to be bringing a Batchat, a T-62A, a 113, 3 140s, and that RU-251. Meanwhile, Rival going to bring 2 E5s, an IS-7, 2 140s, a Batchat, and of course an RU-251. A pretty heavy lineup though here for Rival.
Deja Vu going for the raw aggression. They're getting all these 140s up along this hill, and they're just trying to pin back Rival, and they will find some shots onto Commander J.
Already, Deja taking a shot on Commander J. It now changes well. Very nice from Deja Vu here, already putting quite a bit of pressure, like you said, James, onto Rival.
They have the RU-251 over on the 0 line, controlling the hill, and they're just being very aggressive along this middle ridge. Commander J already down to half his HP.
Deja Vu has absolutely no intention of giving Rival any room this series.
No, they're being very, very aggressive, pinning back.
Yeah, the only
Rival.
The only round we didn't really see that much aggression was just the first one in Ghost Town, and that's because they had set up a very good defense.
Yeah, exactly. Now it looks like Deja Vu have their plan B. They're backing out, and it looks like they're going to start heading over towards the east to start moving towards that 2-cap. They've just left executives in that Batchat over on the 1 line opposite of the RU-251 and the 144 for Rival. They don't know that Batchat is down there in the south, nor does the Batchat know that there's still tanks up in the north for Rival.
You gotta wonder what's going on in Rival's head right now as well.
Yeah, and they shouldn't really be too thrown off from that strat. That's an older strat that we used to see a lot back in the 754 days.
Right. So it's definitely something some of their players are familiar with.
They all should be familiar with it, to be honest. We used to see a lot of RU-251s and T-54 lightweights that just do that raw aggression, get up to that middle ridge, and we'd sometimes see teams completely just clash over that middle ridge. In fact, I believe it was the second Global Grand Finals was essentially decided on a brawl between L Gaming and Hellraisers all over this ridge in the middle here, just within seconds of the round starting.
Coffee Thief putting one in the dirt.
Not quite, ending the same way, but Deja Vu doing, getting very aggressive, trying to find some good early damage. That has left social flaws with a dead gunner, does not have the first aid kit to repair it.
Rival, though, has definitely come back and chipping away at Deja Vu, as now they have the HP pool advantage. Not by much, but it's still there. And cap pressure is starting for Deja Vu.
Wallywiff just sitting there on cap. Flack looking around. He knows that both these tanks are here. They do have him proxlet. However, he does have some guns covering him. Durzel taking some damage when he pops up. Cap slowly starting to build up here.
75 seconds with only 6 minutes left. 6 minutes, 6 some change, 6:25.
Rival need to get something going. They are up on HP by about 1,000, so they survived that early trade fairly well. They were set up to punish it.
They brought it back.
Yeah, they took some early damage. Commander J especially took a lot of damage. However, the rest of the guns were
shot to the dirt. Executives trying to peek over and just get something, but he's going to put a shot in the dirt, and Dergil is actually going to miss a shot as well as take a little damage for his trouble.
The shot that Commander J just put into Dergil was very impressive. He's just snuck it into his lower plate as he poked up and over the ridge. An extremely tight shot.
And I mean, pretty much every tank on the field right now has been lit. There is no secret as to where these two teams are. Coffee Thief, meanwhile, going to pick off My Little Putin and that IS-7.
However, it looks like Harmless is going to go chase down Pub Whisper over on the 0 line.
70 seconds left now with 5 minutes left on the clock. Rival is slowly picking apart Deja Vu.
Some resets going out on the social flaws, sitting there on
Coffee
cap.
Thief is going to take out Wally Whiff there.
Good trades for Rival. They have a very suffocating defense right now.
Very good situation for Rival. I could easily see them taking this round as long as they don't make any crazy mistakes. Dergil is actually going to poke all the way over. Take shots nationwide. Meanwhile, Coffee Thief now being surrounded. Executives taking out Dergil and Harmless taking out Coffee Thief. Meanwhile, Unknown One taking out Harmless. These trades are 110% in favor of Rival. In fact, they are actually going to take this one.
The ammo rack coming through, blowing that 140 turret clear across the map.
Yep, and now it's down to Nationwide and Social Flaws to take out 6 tanks, which is not going to happen, meaning Rival is going to take their first battle victory over Deja Vu this series. So it is now 2-1.
So pretty impressive.
There we go. There we go.
I like that at Rival. They set up to weather the storm, as you will. I do like the game plan from Deja Vu as well, though. They went for that
really
raw
early.
aggression, and they tried to pin back Rival, make it very hard for them to move, especially with that slower lineup.
Right.
They had the 2 E5s and the IS-7,
a lot of heavies.
Which means they couldn't really get to that middle ridge as fast. When you have a team full of 140s, they were able to just drive straight to the ridge and get the early damage off. They looked for those shots on Commander J. They took about 900 out of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Commander J, to an extent, is lucky he didn't get tracked, because that could have been him dead within the first 45 seconds of the game.
Yeah, and that probably would have been a completely different battle had that happened. So,
but he lived,
very
and
well
he
played
was
from Rival.
Commander J lived to get off a lot more damage, and I just like the overall setup for Rival there.
I'm very interested to see how they do on defense, but right now E63, Coffee Thief, and Flag all doing within the same postcodes of damage, 27, 26, and 2400. Meanwhile, Social Flaws and Change coming in at 23 and 22. Running off the rest of the top with Executus and Pub Whisperer. Rival definitely on top there, as we now see Deja Vu on the bottom with very little damage indeed. Commander J actually only doing a 491 in that batch set, and Unknown One doing about 762. But for Rival, fortunately, the damage that needed to be done was definitely done by E63, Coffee, and Flack. So
yeah, E63 has always been known as a bit of a damage farmer, if you will. Someone who's just always in those positions to keep his gun firing.
To have on your team. Absolutely.
Yeah, for fantasy. Well, even for a fantasy team on top of that.
Well, you're doing well-ish.
Yeah, doing both here and in the EU fantasy. Check that out on the ESL website.
There you go. But anyways.
Yeah, but I digress. I do like the setup from Rival, because they understood, all right, we need to be ready for some early pressure. Commander J went for that opening scout run, and that's when he almost got picked off. However, the rest of the guns were there to make sure that they punished those guns from Deja Vu from poking over that middle ridge. The 140 is not necessarily the best tanks to kind of play that ridge line. They do have good gun depression. However, their turrets are pretty soft.
Right.
So that they aren't completely invulnerable, as you will, to return fire, as opposed to like a T-62A, which actually, I believe, as I say that, I believe it was T-62A that took a heat shell from Executus straight through the turret and took out his gunner. So, I like the overall game plan from both teams. However, Rival was able to just weather it. Yeah, they pinned him back once they shifted over towards their cap.
So now we're still on the same map, and it's going to be Rival on offense. So I'm very curious to see what they're going to do and how they're going to approach that as we go into it.
Yeah, and looking at the lineups, it looks like Rival have some ideas of their own. They really need to get even the series back up. They do not want to be in a situation where it's going to depend upon other results.
Right.
Potentially Get Flanked would either a Get Flanked losing would secure their spot, or even if Get Flanked win, 07 need points. And so we'll have to see if either of those can happen later tonight. However, getting into this lineup, Deja Vu bringing a 113, an STB, 3 Object 140s, a Batchat, and an RU-251. Meanwhile, Rival coming in with an IS-7, 3 Object 140s of their own, 2 Batchats, and an RU-251. So relatively close lineups.
The STB is a pick that I see often, but not too often.
We see it a lot on this map, and we used to see it a lot more on Cliffs. However, this season, with a lot of teams shifting kind of towards this Batchat meta, we haven't seen as many of them. Good hold-down tank. The gun handling on that STB is not the greatest, but it does have a lot of DPM. So it's a good tank to just kind of work these ridges, and when the full-out brawls start, that they're pretty useful tanks to have. And as you can see, it can just work the ridge line like back here in this corner. Good tank to kind of get those resets. And Wally Whiff, as I'm saying that, Was he even spotted?
I don't think he was spotted. I think that was literally just them picking a spot and hoping for the best.
Yeah, great blind fire out
of which the best happened because he's gone.
Great blind fire out of Rival. Just, this is just one of those things coming from experience. They knew exactly which bushes teams are likely to sit in. They all picked one, and if you notice, they all fired at the same time. So they looked for it. They said, all right, we're going to shoot at this bush right now. They all fired. They got the pick. And this is a good opening move for them.
Wow, Rival is in a great spot right now.
Yeah, they need to. The thing is, they need to find a way to get some cap pressure going. Obviously,
Correct.
this one cap is not. I don't want to say it's not an option. However, it's going to.
It shouldn't be an option. I think
they're going to have to kill a lot of tanks to make it an option.
So the thing is, I mean, they're a tank down. It's not the most important tank to lose, but it's the fact that it's not a great position because on Prok, an open map like this, you need that little scout to be as proactive as possible, and now they don't even have that option, which is huge.
And now here's the thing to look at. These 140s for Deja Vu have already started backing out. They're back at B2. Now, it'll be interesting to see if they keep on going because they haven't shown any signs of stopping. They may just cross this A line and go over towards the east. And here's the problem is the RE-251 and Batchat are over there completely isolated. Now, the Batchat, I believe, of Commander J is up on that hill where he can cover that RE-251, and he should be kind of safe. But he's actually choosing this time to come down and commit.
Oh,
and Commander J could be putting himself in a terrible situation right now.
This could be such an unfortunate series of events here for Rival as they're, again, in a very solid position right now, and he's just going to go straight to harm. Oh, this is going to be... This is bad. Get out, run away!
And they spot all of them. They will get him. However, Commander J is just going to sit here and empty his clip. His Pub Whisper tries to stay alive, do what damage he can.
So many different shades of dead. Commander J, though, is going to take out a Harmless. That's a good trade.
Yeah, no, they did a good job punishing them. Those tanks on the middle ridge got some shots as they crossed over, and Commander J emptied his full clip into that push, and now they're down Harmless and Wally Whiff.
Wow, so Rival actually... I'm impressed. Turned that around very well.
They traded a tier 8 for a tier 10, essentially, so good stuff there. However, Commander J is taking some damage as he leaves.
Some damage is light as he's gone.
Some
very
damage
nice
would
shots.
be 1,800 damage, which is all of his HP. And now, all of a sudden, this is
a much more even game. Although Rival does have the HP pool advantage,
that ties it up at 5 apiece.
Yep.
So
5 apiece, and that's again 1 tier 10 and 1 tier 8 down for each team.
And they're both just kind of squaring off versus each other. However, it is going to be Durzel is going to back away, and Flack looking like he was about to pop over and take a shot.
He's thinking about it.
Now, here's the thing. Social Flaws just got...
Nice shot from Durzel, right in the corner.
Social Flaws got spotted heading to the south. If Rival recognize that they have tanks all the way down the south, and they know that there's this 140 in the north, they may decide to mass up and go push that north end where they have that overmatch. For those not familiar with the term overmatch, it's when you have essentially more tanks or more guns, as you will, in the same area than another team. So what I'm saying right now is, if you look at the map, Deja Vu had this Batchat and this 140 down in the south. If Rival recognize that these guns are all the way down here, they could take all of their tanks and just go push up to A6, and all of a sudden that creates essentially a 4-on-2 up there, and they know that these other two tanks aren't going to be able to get into the fight in time to be effective. They're not going to have they're not going to be able to contribute their HP to the fight, and their guns are not going to be in the fight. And so that could turn into a very good situation from Rival if it gets there. However, Deja Vu, instead of just stopping down the south like a lot of teams do, they're actually choosing to push out and try to take some more map control.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. It looks like they may see that overmatch indeed as they're starting to swarm over there at A6. And they are going to find it. Very unfortunate here for Rival. Wait a second.
They will take out E63. However, it's going to be Nationwide that's going to push in and find another one. This is just back and forth stuff. Batchat one-on-one with an unknown one. Just needs to make his shots count. And there's the bounce.
I don't think he's going to... No, he definitely cannot take out Unknown One, but Unknown One is just going to miss there, putting one right in the dirt. Nationwide needs to get away. A track here would be perfect for Unknown One, just to stop the retreat and make sure that he could actually just take the kill. Change is also taking fire from Coffee Thief and Executus, as all the tanks from Team Deja Vu are incredibly low on HP. Rival, meanwhile, has 3 tanks at about half HP, so not doing too terribly, and those all are tier 10s.
Now he's basically taken Nationwide out of the fight. He is still alive. However, he did ammo rack him. One, he was running away, so he's going to be out of the fight for almost another 40 seconds at this point. Now, they most likely won't know that he's ammo racked, so it may be hard for them to take advantage of it. Meanwhile, they will find Change.
Change is going to go down here. He's going to go down to Executus. Unknown One is also trying to get as many shots as he can. My Little Putin, unfortunately, missing there. Unknown One is a one-shot. As is Coffee Thief at this. As I say that, he goes down to Nationwide.
Nationwide just got loaded in time. He is still ammo racked, though, so these last 4 shots are essentially going to be the last 4 shots that he's able to get off this round, so they better make them count.
Yeah, and this is honestly literally a mirror situation. 2 on 2, 1 tank is 1 shot, 1 tank is not.
Oh, and I don't like this out of Executus. He only has 1 shell in his clip. He has to make it count or he will go down. He comes over.
Oh, no, no lights. He doesn't see Nationwide behind
but
all
Nationwide
that cover.
doesn't see him either. Too many bushes in the way.
Deja gets spotted, though. Executus is not going to... At least I don't think he's going to take the shot.
And Executus decides to drop his clip and run away.
Right, but this is also the problem, is Nationwide knows exactly where Unknown One is, which is that 1 shot.
They're both one-shotters is the thing, and it's up to Durgil to get his HP into here and take some shots for Nationwide. Now, Durgil could take 2 shots, essentially. He can take the first one, and provided he doesn't get ammo racked, he should be fine. Unknown One does need to try to leave that bowl. He will get spotted. 2 minutes left on the clock.
Executus is definitely going to be the key player here for Rival if they're going to tie it up 2-2 or go down 3-1. Again, these matches have been pretty tense so far. There's a lot riding on this, James.
Yep, and Executus can take 1 shot in return, provided he doesn't get high rolled. Being at 512 HP, that 113 has 440 alpha. Doing the quick math, that would be 110. So he could theoretically high roll Executus and kill him with 1 shot.
Well, Durgil is going to take out Unknown One. Executus should be able to take out Durgil here. But the bat shot of Nationwide is going to find Executus. 1 more shot. Oh, no!
Executus goes for the snap and misses. Nationwide comes out on top. That battle decided by 160 HP.
That was so close. So very close. Wow.
They had no idea Nationwide was sitting down there. The second he got lit, Executus, you could tell, just tried to turn and snap the shot off. He didn't have the time for it to aim in.
No, he literally had to take the shot because he knew the bat shot was in between shells. He had a full. They both had full clips, but it was a daring shot. Unfortunately, he missed.
Yep, he just had to fire it off and hope that RNG said it was going to land. However,
pray to RNGesus, yeah.
At that range, out of a bat chat, not necessarily the most reliable gun ever.
I mean, it's not terribly inaccurate either, but again, like you said, at that range, it's a toss-up.
Yep, and Nationwide lucky that he made the that shot count.
Yeah,
because then Executus would have gotten 1 more off, and that one would have been able to be aimed in a bit more.
Oh, absolutely.
So a little bit lucky there, but he did have all the time in the world to aim in because he wasn't even spotted to that point.
Yeah, and Flag coming in huge in that IS-7, doing a 3,100 damage, followed by Change and Durgil from Team Deja Vu, 3K and 2,800 respectively. Change was doing a great job in that 140, picking over the ridge lines, and then we have Unknown One with 2,600 in the 140, and then Nationwide, My Little Putin. Nationwide in that bat chat was pivotal, doing 2,500 damage, getting off multiple clips, and realistically winning the game there for Team Deja Vu.
Yeah, he was ammo racked, though, so a little bit lucky that he was able to get through that second clip just in time to trade out My Little Putin and take that 140 down of Coffee Thief. So I thought it was going to be close. However, he just got loaded just in time to get that kill.
Yeah, so tough break for Rival. They're still in it, obviously. It's only 3-1, which means that they can come back and they can still get 3 points. But again, what they really need to do at the absolute worst case scenario is they just need to get 4 games.
They need 3 more rounds to secure
all
themselves.
they need, and then they're fine. They're safe. They don't have to worry about it. They don't have to think about it. They can focus on getting into the next round robin and what they have to do there to make sure that they're not put in this situation again. But right now, it's tough. It's tough to watch them go through this.
They're going on to a map now that's a map that I would definitely favor Rival on. It's one of their stronger maps for sure.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and check out the next map between these 2 teams.
Steps, the most open map in the league. The attacking team appears near the rocks at the bottom of the map, and the defending team starts at the top. Bases are located near the railway and on the green. The best way to control them is to use the lowland near the second base. The attacking team usually begins the attack from the rocks and the railway, but sometimes they can attack through the green. Teams often drag vehicles from flank to flank, so both teams usually pick light vehicles with a good camouflage rating, but sometimes use tanks with a strong turret and even SPGs.
Going over the lineups here, Deja Vu bringing 2 113s, an STB, an Object 140, 2 Batchets, and a Lorraine 15551. That Tier 8 French artillery. Meanwhile, Rival coming in with an IS-7, a 140, 3 Batchets, a TVP, and an RU-251 of their own. RU-251 already heading straight to the north, and they are looking for someone doing this boost in the north. However, Coffee Thief isn't going to spot them. However, what they don't know is, while they're not going for that boost, the majority of their team is over on the other side of this train track. It looks like Deja Vu also trying to go for a boost over at 8-9. However, they did not complete it.
Yeah, and again, Deja Vu is, they're bringing an SPG. They're bringing Artie, that Lorraine 155.
Well, Lorraine 155 just missing a shot on Coffee Thief as he runs away.
This is actually not a standard defense that I'm used to seeing this season. This is not usually how it's set up. It's usually set up down the 7, 8, and 9 line for the defensive team, but they're actually set up all the way across the A, B, and C lines there in those postcodes.
Yep, so Harmless just barely getting up onto that climb at 8-9, using Nationwide to help get up there, and now he's going to be extremely hard to dig out. And it's kind of an interesting opening plays from both teams. Deja Vu kind of set up with the majority of their tanks over towards the A line up there at A3 in that corner, but they left 2 Batchets over to do the A9 boost. If Rival had pushed over at that exact moment with all their guns, they would have had an overmatch where those Batchets weren't in the fight and not able to do damage. So extremely lucky that Rival decided to rotate back out towards the south.
I think that Lorraine 155 just found a shot onto Flak, damaging pretty much everything in that tank.
Yeah, and oddly enough, he hasn't tried to repair anything, so we'll have to see if he's already used his first aid kit. So he actually opted to not bring a first aid kit in favor of rations. So this is one of those things where it's just opting for rations is definitely risky. A lot of times they drop the fire extinguisher for rations so they can get that extra 5% bonus. However, in this case, not bringing a first aid kit, all it took was 1 HE artillery shell that didn't even do a whole lot of damage.
No, I think it did
like 100 and something damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was about 150 damage.
Actually, I think it was 67? No, that can't be
no,
right.
It was around 148 damage. But the thing is now he's done a driver and a gunner, so he's going to be extremely slow moving and he's not going to be very accurate. And this is already just 2 minutes into the game. So luckily he still has all his HP. Luckily it wasn't a T92 AP shell or something ridiculous like that found him.
Wally there fighting a much better shot, 495.
Now, this is a really interesting defense from Deja Vu. It is so
it's not
split.
the standard that we see.
It's so far apart, and they're really heavily relying on Harmless in that batch up on the hill staying alive. If he can stay up there, then they can start, gradually shifting over towards the west with these 113s. Now, if Rival were able to rotate out, they might be able to find some sort of isolation on these 113s where they're able to trade them out pretty quickly. They would have this STB and the Batchat and the 140 sitting there also able to cover them. However, I don't think that's really enough to punish a full tank push out of Rival if that is the option they go for.
Yeah, and this is again what I was kind of talking about earlier, James. I was afraid of that Rival is kind of playing a little too defensively. Even on offense, we've seen it before in this series where they're playing with that caution of we might get relegated. You know what I'm saying?
It's not even necessarily to worry about being relegated, but this is an extremely hard puzzle in front of them to crack, and it decides to have a chance at breaking this.
And that's not so much on this map. I'm just saying overall in general, that's kind of what it looked like. Is they're obviously they don't want to get taken out of the league, but
they always it feels, in my opinion, like they play a lot with like some hesitation almost.
Right, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, to break this sort of play, you just have to group up almost essentially, and you have to make some sort of aggressive play. And don't get me wrong, there are plenty of plays for them to make right now. However, they need to decide quickly, set up for it, and execute it to even have a shot. They're burning down the clock. Clock's at 5 minutes, and they're not really in any sort of position to make a play.
Honestly, they're just not in any position at all to make a play, yeah.
Yeah, and they're almost essentially still sitting in their spawn. They're rotating back through it right now. If I were them, I would go with some sort of middle one-line split, assuming those 113s are still up there. I believe the RE251 of Coffee Thief has been spotting them. And so what it would take, essentially, is for them to recognize that, all right, these 113s are over here alone, but they have a lot of their mediums towards the east side over here. And so if you push a couple guns towards C4, and then you move the rest up the one line, those 113s won't have anywhere to go. If they move to the back, the mediums in the middle there can shoot them, and it'll just kind of force them out. However, the problem is there's these guns, these Russian mediums in the bat chat in the distance here that will be able to quickly close on that middle group. So making sure that it gets done quickly and effectively is even more important.
Again, that Lorraine finding another shot. Here's something else important to note as well. Depending on how they push, if they all run out of their clips in those autoloaders and they don't take out enough tanks or burst enough, that's going to be a terrible situation for Rival.
Yep, Flak moving up along the one line, but the Batchet of Harmless is just able to keep getting some shots off. And it's Wally Whiff in that artillery.
Wally Whiff is relentless in that Lorraine 155. Absolutely disgusting.
Just able to pick him off.
So finally, Rival finds himself making a move, and it's going to be towards the 2-cap. Meanwhile, leaving some tanks in the center of the field there to somewhat put pressure on, but actually, wait a second. No, they're going right past it. James, are they just looking for a brawl?
Yeah, they're doing exactly that. They're all in the middle here. They know that Harmless just emptied his clip. They know that they have 45 seconds to make this push. So they're taking this opportunity to get in there under his gun where he can't trade them out. Now they need to keep pushing through. Wally Whiff trying to run, and no one and Executives coming through. However, Harmless is loaded.
And My Little Putin and the SCB going to take out E63 in that TVP. Unfortunate for Rival as they just lost another tank. Executives and Commander J, though, coming in bid, taking out Deja. And My Little Putin going to trade for Pub Whisperer here. Executives trying to get shots here on the social flops and change, as well as every take on that thing. Nationwide, though, nice shot onto a known one, taking him out bat chat to bat chat. And this just does not look very good for Rival.
I do like the decision to send the bat chats around and up the 8 line once they knew that Harmless up on that boost was reloading. However, what I don't like is none of the other guns were in position to really capitalize on it.
No, they really weren't. It was a good play, but it was mistimed.
Yeah, I like that the one part of the play with the bat shots coming in. However, the rest of the mediums were coming up like the 4-5 line in the middle of the open field, not where they could really get any consistent shots. So, and the bat shots did get spotted out. Harmless, while he was reloading, he still had eyes up. He was able to get some shots, or have the intel there that, yeah, they're sending 2 tanks over this way, so be ready for something else. And they managed to get out of there and pull them into the rest of their guns. And essentially it was the 2 bat chats that pushed over into a 2v6, as you will.
Yeah.
And it just did not work out for Rival once again.
No, there was no crossfire coming out, so there was literally no threat for them to just focus all their fire onto those 2 bat shots. Unfortunately, now 4-1 for Team Deja Vu. Rival finds himself in a situation in which they are going to have to see what's going to happen with the next game unless they can bring it back. Again, they just need 3 more battles, 3 more rounds. They don't need to beat Deja Vu. They just need to get 1 single point.
One thing I want to remind everyone, I've said this before, if they don't get a result right now, it's up into the hands of the other teams to decide who goes home. If Get Flanked get a win, they're tied with Rival. The head-to-head goes to get flanked, so it would move Rival down in the pecking order. However, 07 only have 9 points, so they would be the first ones going home. One of the teams is leaving us today, not playing out the duration of the season.
Oh, man. So Harmless and the rest of Team Deja Vu, aside from Commander J, are all going to be at the top of this list. It's going to be Harmless doing 3K, Commander J doing 2,800, and then unfortunately from there, the closest person is Pub Whisper for Rival, and he's only doing 1,045 damage. Meanwhile, the consistency and top for that of Deja Vu was great that round.
No, absolutely. And Flack just not able to do a whole lot. And I almost feel bad for him. He took that first artillery shot. It didn't even do that much.
That was like the worst situation. That's almost as bad as being one shot.
Yeah, well, it didn't even do a whole lot of damage to him. It was just a slight little chip away at him. And all of a sudden, he has a dead driver, a dead gunner. So you can't hit anything. You can't move quickly enough to get close to something.
Let's be honest, that IS-7 is not that fast as it is. So...
Yep, so just got word that Deja Vu is actually taking a 60-second timeout.
Okay.
So we will be able to talk for one more minute. And just the relegation picture, I wanted to finish painting real quick.
Oh, paint away, please, Rembrandt. Talk to me.
So one team goes home today. They do not carry on to the second round robin where the top 8 teams will play all over again.
Right.
And that one team, they lose their gold spot in the Gold League. They lose their chance to play for $325,000 and any chance of going to any of the major events, whether it be the Challengers Final, the Champions Rumble, or then the Global Grand Finals at the end of the year. So it's just a whole lot of things on the line. And
they have to requalify
if they want a shot.
If they want a shot,
but that wouldn't come till after the Challengers and Champions Rumble.
They're gonna have to sit a season out.
Yep. It's not necessarily they have to sit a season out. They could requalify for next season. However, you have to go through a full online tournament. And then you have to play the 7th seed team.
Which is the qualifier I believe we casted at the very beginning.
Yeah, it would be a similar thing, except this time they're adding it to where they're playing for a spot of one of the current Gold League teams. So you win that tournament, you go through that whole gauntlet.
And then you have to play a Gold League team that's in the bottom currently.
That's already, but already has the experience of being a Gold League team. So not a place you want to be if you're any of these teams.
I mean, if I could choose where I'd want to be, it would definitely not be in that position. But unfortunately, Rival haven't really left themselves that much room to choose.
Yeah, I will say this: if Rival don't pick up,
I mean, neither has Get Flanked, to be honest. So, or 07, so many teams.
Yep. If Rival don't pick up any points for the next 2 hours, they are going to be the biggest high in Eclipse fans they have ever been.
Absolutely.
So we'll have to see what happens. I'm really excited to get to these next couple of matches because they're both going to be going on at the same time. We'll only be broadcasting one, sadly. However,
but we will be updating you every single battle of the way of 07 versus Eclipse. I can tell you that right now.
And that also reminds me, if you want to see the VODs of those offline broadcasts, go to whatreplays.com. And you can download them either for NA for all of the matches, including the non-broadcast, and also EU and CIS as well.
Most importantly, you get player perspectives.
Yep, exactly. So if there's one little boost that you want to see how they did it, or one little position and see exactly how they played it, you can go there, watch it, download it, and use it yourself.
Also, WGLeague.net. Check out how every single region is doing in the Gold League. And like you said, it's NA, RU, EU, and APAC. Make sure you're checking it out. Again, it is WGLeague.net.
And we are on to battle number 6. It is 4-1 in favor of Deja Vu. Lineups coming in. Deja Vu bringing 2 113s, 2 bat chats, 2 140s, and an RU 251. So running a lot of pairs there, bringing those 113s to bring some weight. Give them some bully power if they want to go play the 8-9 line, be able to really push up, be aggressive.
Again, though, Rival is bringing a lot of bat chats.
So Rival coming in with a E5, a 140, 4 bat chats, and an RU 251 of their own. So a lot of burst out of Rival.
I mean, aside from the 140 and the E5, this is pretty much a cliff lineup from Rival.
Almost to an extent. And E5 even was, I don't want to call it meta, but E5 was used on Cliff a long time ago before it kind of evolved into what it is now. And the RU-251 at Pub Whisper just lurking around in the south, while Harmless here in the middle is trying to look for some vision towards that 6-7 line.
Yeah, and this is the defense that we're used to seeing as far as steps go.
Yeah, much more standard defense, and the reason that it's standard is because it is incredibly hard to break, and it really requires the defensive side making some mistakes to allow the other team in. It used to be a lot more one-sided back in the days of 754, T-32s, almost impenetrable hold down, and you didn't have like these 140s and Batchats that were necessarily as mobile or had as good a guns as, say, the T-54 lightweight or a 1390. And so those T-32s could just hold down over that ridge, and the team would just flex around. And it was an incredibly hard defense to break.
Interesting. And cap pressure already starting here for Deja Vu. There's just going to be that one RU-251 sitting on a cap in the back is to avoid any shots. And we actually have the 113 of Nation, excuse me, the 113 of Social Flaws pushing up a little forward to try to find some shots. Wally Whiff, though, is taking shots. Fortunately, nothing has hit him yet, and he's going to squirm around. There's a shot coming off. He's going to take some damage. They know they got the reset as well. Now he's going to move back. Oh, again, Coffee
And
Thief.
he's not even lit, so just extremely lucky blind fire out of Coffee Thief.
Yeah, Coffee Thief just moved the turret almost as though he could see exactly where Wally was going. Nice shots.
And Wally's got to be so frustrated getting hit twice blind in two completely different spots
He's like,
in the period of 10 seconds.
Is he hacking? Like, what the hell? How does he know I was there? And it was funny too because we saw his turret move exactly where Wally was going. Yeah. Crazy stuff. Sometimes things just line up for you, and then other times we've seen shots like that where they've just missed everything.
Yeah, Coffee Thief just continuing the blind fire from that ridge. But the one thing that we haven't noticed is these Batchats making this rather aggressive south play for Rival. And Wally takes another shot down to a one-shotter.
He's like, you know what? I give up.
Now this is where that so important plan B comes into play.
He's out of there.
And this is the very situation that Rival so often struggles with. Is this cap pressure isn't working for Deja Vu. Now they have decided to go back to putting some cap pressure on. However, he only has
Wally is one shot away from
one shot,
biting the dust there. Harmless, meanwhile, taking quite a bit of damage. In fact, Harmless should be going down here. One more shot, unless he's gotten away.
And the push coming out of Deja Vu, trying to catch out these Batchats. E63 is going to get caught out here if he is not careful. He has to cross that road, so he's going to have to take some damage to begin with. He's going to opt to do it right now.
Dershola is also pushing with Nationwide adjacent to him, and they're going to be pushing down that 2-3 line to try to get some shots onto the team of Rival here. And in fact, the entire team of Deja Vu has now shifted south as they slowly push east into the defense of Team Rival. This is going to be a very interesting engagement, and I'm curious to see. Pub Whisperer is going to plant himself somewhere in a bush there so he can't be seen as the spot most of the team of Deja Vu. And Rival is in a good position right now. They're in a good spot to take this.
Yep, and they're starting to rotate through. They understand that the main push is coming out through the south here for Deja Vu. So C5's already gone ahead and moved a little bit towards the south, and it's just Executives left up here spotting. They already have a 140 of Coffee Thief sitting at the B0 ledge. That ledge is just a little bit of the ground just kind of sticks up in an angle where you can kind of hide behind it. I don't even want to call it a rock, 'cause it's more just like a little mound on the side of the hillside there. And he's just able to pop up and get some shots off, and he should be able to get some good damage on these 113s as they make this push through. And now this is, like I was talking about, this is the plan B for Deja Vu, is how do we take this cap from him. However, Rival did a very good job at realizing that they were giving up that north cap and that they were overextended in the south.
No pressure or tanks there from Deja Vu.
And so they backed out, and now the Batchats are, well, at least one of the Batchats is rotating all the way through the north. Commander J along with Pub Whisper. It's always those two that go off by themselves.
They're battle buddies.
Yeah, absolutely. Last game, it was Commander J that traded out Pub Whisper when he went up and got the spot on Prok. And it seems to be the same sort of system going on right now.
And honestly, not a lot of shots here are finding anyone on Rival's side. Meanwhile, all of these shots are finding the tanks of Deja Vu.
And it looks like the push is, I don't know what to call it a push, but Rival are mounting up to make some sort of play with these Batchats in the south here.
Shots coming on a change here in that 140. He's got to worry about Pub Whisperer. He's got to worry about Flag. He's got to worry about Executives. He's got to worry about Coffee Thief.
And these Batchats are pushing through the low ground, and they're completely unspotted right now.
Oh, and E63 coming up huge. He's going to take out Social Flaws, no problem. And Change is next to be cleaned up. Nationwide, here we go. This is Team Rival coming in. They're doing quite a lot of damage to Deja Vu. Nationwide should be going down in just a moment here.
They will find Wally. Nationwide trades out Executives, but then Unknown One trades out and gets...
That was a very, very solid defense.
I like the play there out of Rival. Good rotations all around the board. They clearly had a game plan of what they wanted to go for. They knew if, all right, if we spot this, we do this. They made the rotations, and there was really three crucial rotations they made, including this last one here, where they capitalized on these tanks being overextended in positions where they couldn't get out. Coffee Thief played that little ledge almost to a T, as perfect as he could have, and he bought time for these Batchats to get in position, and then they were able to just push up in the low ground here where they just were never spotted until they were already behind.
And that whole time, Rival was picking apart the HP pool of Deja Vu. I mean, just little by little. So,
yeah,
very well played from Rival. That was almost textbook defense.
Yep. So, and that's why you can't really try to even make a play towards that cap with a medium behind that ledge, or until dressing him and getting him down there. Because what happens is he's able to sit there and get the reset, so they can't cap out. So they're stuck backing off and getting behind the rocks, like Social Flaws was doing there. And then the thing is that they had to back off in the low ground, and those Batchats were able to push up completely unspotted. And they got behind those 113s. Those 113s,
they came up huge.
They already couldn't move because the 140 was sitting there, so they just drove up. They had cover from the rest of the 140 sitting just behind the 113s, and they got them down for free.
Yep, and looking at the damage, Coffee Thief playing that mound, beautiful stuff, doing 4,300 damage. And then Flat coming in right behind him, as did E63 and the E5, and the Batchat doing 2,400 and then 2K. Meanwhile, My Little Putin, Nationwide, and Harmless kind of struggled to get any sort of damage coming out for Deja Vu, as they were either missing shots, bouncing, or just the cover of Rival was that good. And then rounding off the last bottom spots here was pretty much all of Deja Vu minus Pub Whisper in that 251, although he did get 2 kill shots. So
one thing I want to check out real quick here, looking at the damage panel, is Coffee Thief. So playing that ledge, he only actually got shot 3 times, only bounced 1. But he fired 30 times, hit 18, and penned 14. So a majority of those were those blind fires onto cap.
Yeah.
And so while the
Again, that was nuts. He just got every shot.
So I know a couple former Gold League players that actually used to pride themselves on having the lowest hit percentage in the league, not because that meant they were bad shots, but because that meant they spent the most time sitting there blind firing bushes hoping to find tanks. And so...
well, he did.
Yeah, so pretty good shooting there at a Coffee Thief. So
he definitely found Wally quite a few times.
Yeah, no, I almost feel bad for Wally because he did everything right.
And he kept moving, and then he went to the same position he originally got shot at after he got hit against somewhere else. And he was really trying to make it work, and he was trying to be sneaky, and he backed off, and then he went just right back in the same spot, and he still was just eating shells.
Yeah, and then the
other
thing I want to remind people about light tanks is they can move without losing their camo value. So he didn't have any bushes or anything covering him, so it's just raw distance at that point is the only thing keeping him alive. And so once he got shot once, he was able to kind of move again and move over, and he still was never spotted through that whole thing. And then Coffee Thief just was like, all right, I saw him once here. Where is he going to go next? Lined it up, and within 10 seconds, he hit him again.
Time.
That's just crazy. And the Coffee Thief just had a great round that round.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and head into our next map and see if Rival can hold on.
Mines, a small summertime map with lots of hills, rocks, and other cover. The teams start the battle in the usual locations, but the base locations are different. One is located in the bottom part of the village, and the other one is in the water. One of the key objectives is the center hill. That's why the teams will often select fast vehicles and tanks with strong turrets for cover.
So we are on to battle number 7. The map is Mines, and the lineups are Deja Vu coming in with a 113, 4 Batchats, a TVP, and Chase Potato in that M40-43. Meanwhile, Rival coming in with a 215B of their own. 3 bat jets, 2 TVPs, and a T49.
I love me.
Coffee Thief lining up a shot.
Wow, so much damage already. Change almost going down. What is happening?
Coffee Thief getting the connection in there, and the rest of the mediums already in position to punish. Flack got a shot off, and I believe it was actually, I don't know who else that was. Oh, it was the TVPs, but the M40-43.
Potato!
Wow! Just completely one-shots Pub Whisper. And all of a sudden, this battle...
I would be so upset if I was Pub Whisperer right now. Legitimately upset.
And the thing is that even with that one shot, Deja Vu are still trailing.
Change is almost down. Harmless has already fallen, but E63 is taking some damage. Pub Whisperer just got deleted.
Trades on trades on trades. Whoa. Just an absurd opening 90 seconds of this round. And great stuff out of Rival to recognize, all right, we're going to look for the hill. They're not coming for the hill. They already had their guns set up to look for a one-line push, and they got a massive amount of damage onto Change. And then they also got some shots off on the Harmless. But then Chase Potato just puts a shot in the backside of that TVP.
None of it.
The TVP doesn't have any armor to begin with, but when you give it the backside, an artillery shell coming through the backside of an engine deck that has, I don't know the exact numbers, but that engine deck probably doesn't have more than, I'd say, like 10 millimeters of armor on the back of it, and just penetration and goodbye.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Wow.
That was ridiculous. But like you said, Deja Vu is still bleeding here.
Yeah, Rival are up by about 2,000 HP at this point, so being on defense and controlling the hill, I definitely like their chances. And you got to remember, all Rival need is they need 2 more rounds to guarantee their safety.
Right.
2 more rounds.
2 more rounds.
This one, and then they have to attack mines, guarantees their safety. If they lose either of these rounds, they will lose the match, as Deja Vu are already on 4 points.
It all comes down to this map. Either way you look at it, this is their Alamo map. They've got to make it happen here. They've got to make their stand here. And not only do they have to win here on defense, which is arguably easier, but they have to do it again on offense. It's a team like Deja Vu. I do not envy them right now.
Yeah, but I guarantee Rival are going to have some tricks up their sleeve for offense, but they got to win this round first. Milo Putin rotating out of the one lane actually doesn't get spotted by anybody. Chase Potato just hanging out there looking for some shots, but nothing's really spotted for Rival, so he's not really able to get any more shots going off, which is, you know, essentially that artillery could start to slowly chip away at Rival and get them back into this fight. However, the problem is they need to get lights for that artillery to fire.
That's the one thing we've talked about over the season so far, is the fact that in order to have an artillery on your team, you have to make sure that that artillery is supported, and that doesn't necessarily mean hanging a tank back to make sure that he doesn't get destroyed. It means the team being proactive enough to give that artillery the shots that they so desperately need to be effective on the team.
Yeah, and when artillery gets a one-shot like they did on Pub Whisper, that's great.
That
However,
helps.
What they're really, especially bringing it to your radar, it's more, they want to use it more to harass. Now, you know, they're never going to say, oh, getting a kill, it's a bad thing. No.
That was terrible. Why didn't we just take some, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but they're planning on it just doing, 500, 600, 700 damage and just chipping away at multiple tanks on their team. So when they want to make that push, they want to be decisive, they have enough of an HP lead that they can eat the shells when they make that initial push.
The field right now for Deja Vu is stagnant. They're not really putting any pressure or even getting any lights.
Well, the thing is that Change is already essentially dead. He has 140 HP. One shot from anything, even a splash almost from Coffee Thief in that T49 would end him. And that only leaves 5 guns alive for Deja Vu. And then one of those is an artillery. So then all of a sudden that's only 4 guns alive.
6, correct.
So on that 113 can't really rotate anywhere too fast.
No, and that T49, this beautiful little tier, I love this tank to death. This thing packs quite a punch.
And a blind shot going towards the bush that Executus is sitting in.
Wow, I'm surprised.
Just misses. I want to say that was an AP shell, because if that was HE, he would have taken at least a splash.
Correct.
Sojaflaz is spotted as he goes ahead and backs out. and heads down this 4 line.
Heading down this 4 line, it serves the purpose of him trying to see if there's anything on that hill that he can actually spot for the Artie, as well as him moving towards the cap, kind of like a 2-4 play.
Yeah, so he might be close enough to proc light anything on this bottom corner right here around F4, F5. However, the main play right now is getting some cap pressure going, because that's about the only thing that that's really the only option that Deja Vu have without some sort of massive rotation of all their guns.
Yeah.
And that's where this T-49 comes in. It's a tier 8, but it fires those HE shells, those huge gun.
So bad.
And so, like I said earlier, it can even splash tanks. Not as much as an artillery splash, but it can splash. So if it either hits the turret or
the problem is that incredible ranges, it does tend to be quite inaccurate.
Oh, very inaccurate. But at this sort of range, looking at it, if you look at the minimap, you count the boxes. They're 100-meter boxes. On mines, I believe mines is actually not a 1,000 by 1,000 map like most of them. I believe it's an 800 by 800, which means they're 80-meter boxes. However, looking at it, 1 box, 2 box, 3 box. So, you can assume that that's just inside 300 meters, essentially.
Nice shot from Deja. He's taking quite a few on a Commander J. Unfortunately, he's not going to find that. Oh, not the last shot, so he's going to drop his clip. But again, the TVP reloading much faster than your standard autoloader or bat shat. He should be done in about 16 to 20 seconds, depending on what he's chosen as far as crew skills and whatnot.
Yeah, I'd have to check. I'm pretty sure mine's is an 800 by 800 map. Most of the maps and tanks are 1,000 by 1,000 meters. However, mine's being a bit of a smaller map. I believe it's just an 800.
And here we see Deja Vu is slowly picking their way back up as far as HP goes. They're fighting these shots, and they're doing a good job of crawling back in this. It's not over yet. Although I will say with 2 minutes and 45 seconds, they're going to have to make something happen fast.
Yeah, they're starting to claw back into this round a little bit. They're down to about 1,000 HP lead as opposed to Rival being up by about 2K earlier. Yeah. So finding some good trades.
Deja, though, is taking quite a bit of damage from Coffee Thief. Finding a shot as well. 13:45, only 1 shot left. Now him and Change are both very close to being taken out of this battle and giving the round to Rival.
Yep, and on 1, just trying to stay alive. However,
but Nationwide just charges Coffee Thief and Socialize takes out another one. But Flak is actually going to take Dershal out as for trade. So all of a sudden, Deja Vu is right back in this.
And now Commander J trying to make some plays is going to get caught out.
Oh, no. There he goes. My Little Putin going to take out Commander J. And all of a sudden, this is now heavily in favor of Deja Vu.
And they're up on guns. However, it is still changed down on a one-shotter. Still hanging out at H2. Flak does have a lot of his HP to still work with, as does Executus. However, Executus takes an artillery shell.
Yeah, and the other problem is, at this point, Deja Vu is starting to realize that there are no other tanks other than on that hill. Which means that their search for these tanks, Executus is going to narrowly get out, and he does. Social Flaws has to be careful now. Executus rounding that corner. He should be able to take out Social Flaws Executus, and he is.
Executus, big play there. He does pick up Social Flaws. However, there's only 2 guns left alive for Rival. Nationwide trying to find Flak. So far not connecting. He does get his last shot off.
But Flak doing a very job of using his dead friend here, his dead teammate, to use some cover there. And that 215B. Meanwhile, My Little Putin getting tracked. He's going to find Flak and get as many shots off as he can. He needs to take out Flak very quickly. 45 seconds remain on this clock. Down he goes. It's now all up to Executus to get away somehow. I don't see it happening, and unfortunately, Rival is going to have to go into spectator mode as they root for Team High and Team Eclipse.